Welcome to Swoop Podcast, and here are your hosts, Dante Fantuzzi and Josh Sanchez.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Swoop Podcast. We're your guest for tonight, Dante Fantuzzi, and I'm here with my partner,
Josh Sanchez.
And obviously we had a crazy weekend of sports, but the one sport that has finally come back we've all anticipated and waited for is basketball, but the long-anticipated return of the number one pick we've had 2 years ago, Ben Simmons, finally made his return back to the court last night after over a year of not playing, no game action. He's finally back. Yesterday was their first preseason game, and I don't know about you, Josh, but to me, last night was a phenomenal night for him.
Yes, for the most part, I was excited on how he played in the first half. The second half, he was missing a lot of his drives, but I just think that's due to not playing basketball like competitively in a live action game in so long. I think all those misses that he's having now when he drives to the lane, I think that they'll turn into makes during the regular season. But I liked how he passed the ball, how he spread the ball. I believe he only had one turnover the whole game. So he's efficient, and his alley-oop pass from half court to Rashad Holmes in the first half was phenomenal. And that's something to look forward to in the future.
Yes.
And with Joel Embiid, hopefully, can he just get on the court and play? That's the only person I'm really worrying about. Fultz had his struggles, but I'm
going to get the Fultz in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about Fultz a little bit later. But with Ben Simmons, he looks athletic. He looks like a young version of LeBron, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The way how he plays, they play two very similar styles. And I'm just excited for this upcoming season. If it all depends on what it depends is, can Joel Embiid play more than 60 games or about 60 games? That's just what it's going to come down to, in my opinion.
Talking about Ben Simmons, he had 9 assists in 22 minutes, which is phenomenal. 1, 2, it was his first game action back in over a year, so a lot of rust had to be shaken off. A lot of those contested floaters or layups, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they're makeable shots.
They are makeable shots, but at the same time, though, it's his first game back.
Yeah,
and it's his really actual first game in the NBA. So a lot of that stuff I'm not gonna fault him on, but he looked phenomenal. His IQ just looks amazing. His vision, his passing, everything just looks there for the kid. Just my main thing about Simmons is, can he develop a jump shot? That's one thing that I want to know. I'm worried about that. But I mean, look, nobody comes into the league perfect. Nobody comes into the league with everything down packed. None of that happens. I mean, look at the best player in the world, LeBron James. It took him about 6 to 7 years to finally develop a jump shot. So that's one thing that I'm concerned about it, but I'm not overly concerned about it. I'm pretty sure, as his development comes, as he gets older and etc., the jump shot will just come along.
I agree. I believe the jump shot will come, but it's going to take some time, as what we've seen from last night. Like, his jump shot's there, but it needs some work. And But the way how he can run a team and just handle the ball and run in transition, that's something that is generation talent. A guy that's 6'10" and can dribble like that, can pass like that, and is really athletic, I think the future is bright for him. It's going to take some time, though, for him to get used to the speed of the game. And that's why it comes back to another comment. I was watching ESPN the other day, and I don't know who the guy's name is, but he said, quote, that the Sixers are going to stink this year, and that's due to their lack of play. And that's a good valid point. But the only point I want you to hear about, I want to hear your opinion, is he said that we should trade Joel Embiid. And when I heard that comment, I immediately got angry, and I said that guy should be fired from ESPN, because Joel Embiid has been the whole definition of the process. So I just want to know where you stand. Do you think, would you trade Joel Embiid? I'm not saying right now, but would you trade him? Let's say if he gets hurt this season, because this year is his like contract year. Would you trade him, or would you keep him?
I mean, if I was to run my personal, if I was to become a GM of it, doesn't matter what
Yeah.
team.
I know the question's a little vague. I apologize.
I know, I get what you're saying, but I'm just the person that everybody's on the trade block. It doesn't matter if you're Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz. It doesn't matter, to me, except if you're LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Steph Curry, you're on the trade block. Well, what I mean by that is, if you unless you're a legit superstar, like the top superstars in the NBA, you're on the trade block. Like I said, I don't care whether it's Embiid, Simmons, Fultz, Sarge in that case, or Robert Covington. But if the deal is worth it, then okay, we can have a discussion about this. But I mean, I get what you're saying. Joel Embiid has been the whole process, but the man is right. I'm not gonna say that the Sixers will stink or anything like that, but we don't know Joel Embiid's long-term health. We don't know whether he's gonna play a full decade. If we're gonna, base this whole process on him, but really not get anything in return from him, except for a good 5 seasons, 5 playoff runs, no championship return, make this big deal about it. Okay, then maybe you might want to pull the plug, but then again, nobody's a fortune seeker. Nobody could. A future could see the future.
Yeah.
Nobody can see the future from today. But I mean, I totally get what he was saying. But if I would trade Joel Embiid, at the moment, no, because I want to know if he still has anything left, and he's coming back from an injury, and if he could prove to me that he can stay healthy at the time being, no, I'm not going to trade him. But if it starts to become more of a bigger problem than what it is, you might be against it. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And if he's not doing any due diligence to the team, I have to let you go.
Yeah,
I have to.
Yeah, that's where I stand with the whole Joel Embiid topic. Like, I understand, like, let's say after this season he gets hurt. Let's say he breaks his foot again or something. Hopefully that does not happen. Knock on wood. Mm-hmm. That he does not do that. But let's just say he does. What is he going to, like, what is he worth, pretty much, like what you're saying? Like, I would take the risk of trading him and getting some good value in return than have a guy that's, like, pretty much like what happened with, like, Andrew Bynum, him always being hurt and never actually playing on the court.
To me, Joel Embiid is a type of a high-risk, high-reward player because you're taking a high risk with his injury report and his injury history and the fact that he's had a broken ankle, injured knee, back problems. You're taking a risk on that because you don't know if his player's body's gonna react the same after these injuries are occurring again and again and again. So you really don't know how his body's gonna react. The mind can be there, his mentality can be there, but if the physicality isn't there and your body's just not able to do it, then that's a different story. But at the same time, though, talking about the trade thing, and and going back to what I said, Joel Embiid's a high risk, high reward. You're gonna take a high risk on this player, but if it plans out, your reward is gonna be so much higher than taking a risk on banking on another player, basically.
Because one person that did look really good last night was Jahlil Okafor. He looked really good.
Yeah, you actually brought it up before I wanted to because you don't like him and I do. I wanted to bring that up.
I know, but I was watching. He lost 20 to 30 pounds.
No, he lost 15 pounds.
15 pounds over the offseason. You can tell those 15 pounds. He's more athletic. He's running around. He actually blocked a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And his post game, it looks pretty. He looks pretty solid.
I feel like if Jahlil Okafor, Big Ja, can actually hustle on the defensive end, because we all know his offensive skill set is there. Offensively, he's been compared to Hakeem Olajuwon. That's a great. He's an NBA legend. So the offensive skill set for Okafor, I believe, is there. It's always been there. But the biggest question mark has always been his defense and his effort. and I believe if he gives more effort, the same amount of effort he gave last night, plenty of effort, then I believe he can crack into the rotation. If the Sixers still want to decide to trade him, you're gonna get something a lot more in return now because he's making himself more valuable.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up Jahlil Okafor real quick. I just want to see what you thought about him, because honestly, I think he's ready to improve his trade stock and as well as improve himself.
Honestly, I thought he played well last night. He went 5 for 6, 13 points and 6 boards. He blocked the shot like you said last night. He's finally starting to box out. He's giving more help on the defensive end. He's given plenty of effort. Something us Philly fans have yet to see from him. He's not being lazy. And like you said, that weight loss, the losing 15 pounds, he looks more explosive. He's getting up and down the court. He looks faster. He looks a lot slimmer. And that's just my analyzation and my opinion on Okafor right now.
And to conclude our first video segment, I want to hear your opinions on Markelle Fultz and how he looked last night, because some people are already in panic mode saying that he's a bust. I'm not on that train, but I just think that he looked a little bit out of place last night. And it's first preseason game, so I'm not gonna really think about it too much. But I just think now if it heads to the regular season and he continues to look out of place, then that's when I'm gonna have a big red flag. But I just think right now it's just a bad shooting night. We all heard the news though about how he changed his free throw routine because he shot, I believe, under 60% from the free throw line in college. That is terrible.
Yeah.
But
especially for a guard.
Yes, and because of his free throw change, that made him change his jump shot. So that's just some questions that everyone's been having lately. I just want to know, what do you think? How do you think he played last night, and what do you think's gonna? I feel like in his future, what do you think's gonna happen?
I feel like there's no reason for a panic mode yet.
Yeah.
Honestly, the whole summer league thing, it's a beautiful thing, especially being a basketball fan. You love summer league action. You see these new drafted rookies, especially lottery picked rookies, or rookies that you've seen in college that can go really unknown in the NBA and then make himself a big name. But at the same time, I need people to understand is that these players that are in the summer league are playing in the summer league for a reason. They don't have a solidified position yet, and or in some other cases, maybe like Jaylen Brown. He played in the summer league.
Yeah, he looked like.
But he had a solidified. I mean, we all know he has a solidified position, but we all know there's a reason why he was playing in the summer league, and people need to understand that it's the summer league. None of these players are NBA level players. I mean, they're NBA level, but they're not at the same level as a starting role player or a sixth man, a seven man, or eighth man. Like, they're there. A lot of these guys are there to fight for their NBA careers, especially these rookies. They're coming in. They have to prove a point. Like, we haven't seen what Markelle Fultz would do with Mario Chalmers guarding him in summer league. We don't know how that was going to be. He's an NBA defender. Like, people need to relax. You still need to let this young man develop.
Yes,
he's 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, whatever the case may be. He has to develop. You have to let him develop. And it's the same thing with Lonzo Ball, Dennis Smith Jr., Jason Tatum, and so on and so forth. You have to let these players develop. And as I'm going to make the point again that I made about Ben Simmons. Nobody comes into the league with their skills down packed. Nobody. Did you really think Ben Simmons was going to come into the league and dominate the league like LeBron is doing right now?
No.
No. I mean, and he's getting compared to him. Markelle Fultz is right now getting compared to Kyrie Irving and Russell Westbrook. Did they come into the league, taking the league by storm, are as good as they are now? No.
It took them.
These players have
years
to develop. Don't press the panic button just yet. Give him a couple years. Give him a couple years. Let him develop. Let him, like you said, let him get like you said about Ben Simmons, let him get a feel for the NBA speed. I mean, it might look slow to us because we're watching, but it's a lot faster playing. There's still a 24-second shot clock.
Yes.
So you always have to be aware. You have to do something, run a play, get a bucket in 24 seconds. That's a lot. And you just, like I said, you have to let these players develop. You can't, just because you're the number one pick, just because you come into the league, doesn't necessarily, in quotation, in today's terminology, have to start cooking somebody or have to start frying somebody. Like, it's a big jump off from college to the NBA.
And the problem I have with the college basketball is why can't they change the shot clock to 35 seconds to 24?
I thought it was 30 seconds.
Or
I thought it was 30 seconds.
Either way, 30. Why can't they make the change to 24 so it makes...
Because, I feel like...
Because overseas it's 24.
You're right. But overseas is also known as professional basketball. They're not playing professional basketball yet. They're still in college. They're still students. And not every player in the NCAA that's playing basketball is really going to make a career out of this sport. That's what I think. I mean, there may be other rules to it.
Yeah, I know. But
they're pretty sure there are.
Yeah, that's just a question I've always had, though, is, like, you see you see people overseas, it's always 24 seconds.
Or maybe it's just a jump off, because coming from high school basketball, there is no shot clock.
Well, depending on where you are. Like
tournament wise.
Yeah, I know in Delaware there's no shot clock.
I mean, and even in Pennsylvania, me going on Newman Goretti, just about all of our games, I believe in, except for the one tournament we played in Florida, we had no shot clock. And as a matter of fact, if I could remember, the shot clock that we played in the tournament in was 35 seconds. Still a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it's still a big jump off.
Okay.
Because, and remember when we had the point guard for St. Joe's here, Lamar Kimball.
Yeah, Lamar Kimball, yeah.
And we asked him, what was, the hardest transition? He said the speed of the game. If you're not with the speed, then you're not on pace with the team. So it's still a big jump off. And it's an even bigger jump off going from college basketball to the NBA. Especially being a lottery pick. Or maybe just being a draft pick at all.
Now, this is just one last question I had before we wrap up this segment. How many wins do you think the 76ers will have? Do you still think that we can be a top 8 team? I know the East has gotten weaker. But back to what we've been talking about players developing. Like the guy from ESPN made a very valid point. He said that we might win like 30-40.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, that's just due to the lack of like development that we have left. But I know everyone's hype. Everyone has the hype about Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Markelle Fultz. But just seeing like based off of what you saw early, I mean it's only preseason, so it's too early to tell. But do you think this team can get over 40 wins and make, like, I believe in the Eastern Conference, the 7 and 8 seed is going to be below 500. That's just my honest opinion.
I mean, answering the question, I feel like this team is a 42-win team, 42, 43. Anything above 43, 44, I feel like is a little too high for this team. Remember, last night, I'm going to say we played well going into halftime.
Our defense looked
our defense did look terrible. But you got to remember, we're still missing Joel Embiid. Sarge isn't playing. Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot isn't playing. So we had three rotation. Well, one starter and 2 rotation players not playing last night. So we still got to count for that, and it's still preseason, and we're still a young team. It's Ben Simmons, like I said earlier. It's Ben Simmons' first game in over a year, and Ben Simmons' first NBA game, just as long with Markelle Fultz. So Ben Simmons, as well as Markelle Fultz, has to develop, has to change his speed of the game, and it's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with the prediction. I think that the Sixers can be like a 35 to 40 win team. That's what I see right now, and it's just only because it's going to take time for them to develop Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just going off of what I was hearing from the outside. People were panicking about Markelle Fultz. Relax, it's not the end of the world. They got to develop. They're only 19, 20 years old. So, but yeah, that is anything else you want to talk about? Or are you ready to wrap up?
Let's wrap this bad boy up.
All right, again, check us out at swooppodcast.com. Also, hit that subscribe button below. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at swooppodcast_. And this concludes Josh and Dante's verse video segment. This is Josh and Dante signing off.
Beast mode, go beast mode. Ballin' so hard, yeah, they think I got the cheat code. I got the cheat code. Spent 2 bands on some motherfucking jeans, ho. Those is making Mary jeans, though.